This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. The holidays are over, the decorations are down, and suddenly everything feels a little empty. It's normal to feel the winter blues after the holiday excitement. January, February, and March are by far my least favorite months of the year. It's cold and dark, and I have to get some extra vitamin D on board. I also need to keep my regular scheduled appointments with my therapist. So if you're feeling that post-holiday funk, I definitely suggest you checking out BetterHelp because maybe it's time to talk. You might also be one of those people like me who makes New Year's resolutions and you get super motivated. So maybe you need someone behind you to hold you accountable and come up with a plan to meet your goals. BetterHelp is super convenient, totally online. You have a therapist right at your fingertips whenever you need them. So head over to betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 for 10% off your first month.
Imagine what's possible when learning doesn't get in the way of life. At Capella University, our game-changing FlexPath learning format lets you set your own deadlines so you can learn at a time and pace that works for you. It's an education you can tailor to your schedule. That means you don't have to put your life on hold to pursue your professional goals. Instead, enjoy learning your way and earn your degree without missing a beat. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.
This podcast is an unscripted, unedited conversation about true crime. We take the cases very seriously, but I don't take myself seriously at all, and neither should you. Welcome to Wife of Crime.
So, Russ. We talk about serial killers on this show pretty often, but there's a difference between talking about them and being fans of them. The story I'm telling you today is about a man who did despicable things, but he has an entire fan base of women who are obsessed with him, and I truly don't understand it. This is the case of Wade Wilson. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Wife of Crime, a true crime podcast where I tell my husband, Russ, true crime stories, and he reacts to them.
What's up, folks? It's Russ, a.k.a. Vote for Russ, a.k.a. Styling and Profiling.
Yeah, vote for Russ. It is almost election day.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure whoever everyone votes for doesn't give a shit about you.
Do you really think? Okay, so like people tell us all the time that they're going to write your name in, because I think a lot of people are disappointed with the two candidates. There are obviously people who are happy with one or the other, but there are a whole group of people who don't like either one, and they tell us they're going to write in your name. Do you really think they're going to write in your name?
I bet I get a few.
Maybe a few. Well, we'll see what happens. Maybe people will share pictures of their ballot, which I don't know if that's even legal, and it says Russ on it.
Yeah.
That would be really funny.
Well, imagine if I really won. Obviously, it's not going to happen, but I'd be pissed because then, like, I didn't want a job. I was just kidding.
Well, this month on the Patreon, we covered the new Netflix documentary that just came out last week called This is the Zodiac Speaking. First of all, I feel like the documentary was really, really good. Second of all, we didn't even start talking about the documentary until 30 minutes into the episode. I feel like it's the longest we've ever gone without even bringing up the documentary.
Some people might like that.
No, they did.
Might not.
Yeah, no, a lot of people liked it. They loved the episode. So it ended up being a really good episode. The documentary was crazy. If you haven't watched it yet, definitely go check it out because it's really a good one.
Yeah, that was a good one. They went over like who they think is the Zodiac and stuff like that.
But then someone sent me a message that said that some people think that the Zodiac killer is Ted Kaczynski.
Oh, yeah, the Unabomber, right?
Yes. So now I'm interested to look that up. and see like what evidence they have. There's a whole documentary about it, apparently. So I'm definitely interested to look it up and see, because this documentary was pretty convincing.
It was. I feel like any documentary that you watch can always prove what they're trying to prove. Like, you could selectively pick topics or evidence or...
Yeah. Like, whatever they're trying to convince you of, it can be pretty, like, convincing.
Yeah, because if you just leave out the parts that would make the person look innocent.
Yeah, you leave out facts.
Yeah.
No, it's true. Like, when you have a narrative that's being pushed, you can get convinced of things. Like, I'm definitely guilty of that sometimes. Certain documentaries I watch, I'm like, oh, this is 100% that. That's how I feel about this documentary. But I thought it was really good, and you guys should definitely check it out. And if you want to hear our review and coverage of it, head over to patreon.com/wifeofcrimepod for that and all of our true crime and chill episodes. And Russ has the patron shout outs.
All right, folks, you know what time it is. So here's the patrons that joined this week. Merrily, someone wrote, have a beer on me. Cheers to you. Sarah, Deborah, Lauren, Kenna, Finn's mom. Shout out to you too, Finn. Eva, Tasha, and Jessica. So cheers to you. I got my old fashioned, obviously, because I'm an old fashioned man.
Yeah, we both have old fashions today.
And I also got the other job that you already know what it is. So I'm jumping right into review of the week. This one is from Trey. Says, always packing with mad exclamation points. 5 stars. We love the show. My husband and I definitely enjoy listening together and love laughing at Russ and all his off-the-wall ideas. Jess has the patience of a saint. We definitely are voting for Russ. We'll be writing him in for president. So, Russ, you have our vote. Hashtag WV Mama, hashtag always packing, hashtag always staying alive.
Wow. So there's 2 votes for us.
So if they're always packing, I'm probably got those votes in Texas.
Yeah.
If I assume.
You assume they're from Texas.
Yeah.
Because they're always packing. Yeah.
It's probably got cowboy boots.
Cowboy boots, maybe a belt buckle. Possibly.
Yeah. And then you can only have a belt buckle, I found out, if your belly's not big, because then it digs into your belly.
Yeah. They might have the man might have thong sandals.
Then don't even vote. Don't even vote for me. Don't. That is just an abomination. That's part of my campaign.
That's part of your campaign?
Yup, we're banning them.
Banning thong sandals.
Yeah, and we're making abuse to dogs a felony.
There you go. Isn't it a felony already?
If not, we're going to make it a bigger felony.
More consequences.
Yeah.
Well, any animal abuse in general, I feel like, should have bigger consequences.
I don't know what else I would pick.
Like what else your campaign would have?
Oh, you get 1 free slap a year.
Oh, yeah, the
Remember
slap.
that one? You get 1 a year.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
1 free slap, and you have a card. You have to give them your card.
Well, I know who you would have used your slap on.
Who?
When we were in Florida, the guy that came in the elevator.
Yo. Okay.
Tell the story.
Let me just tell this story really quick. This was the craziest thing. Okay, so I'm on the phone with
it's not that crazy. It's just annoying.
It's one of the most annoying things that anyone has ever done to me.
Tops me?
I don't know. So I'm on the elevator. I'm talking to my mom. I went down to Starbucks to get us coffee. And I come back up. I'm on the 8th floor. Well, we're staying on the 14th floor, but the elevator stops on the 8th floor. And this guy walks in and he goes, I hate to do this to you. And then literally pushes 9, 10, 11, 12. Right? And I'm looking at him like, what is happening? And he goes, I got to find a cart for his luggage, right?
And there's 6 elevators in this place all next to each other.
Yes, all the elevators next to each other, there's 6 of them. He gets on my elevator and then pushes every floor. So then I'm on the phone with my mom and like it didn't register right away, but then I get to level 9 and it stops and I'm like, bro, I look at him and I'm like, I'm not taking this ride with you. I'm going on another elevator. And I get out of the elevator. And it's really one of the most annoying things that I think anybody can do.
So you would have slapped him.
If we were allowed one slap a year, I think he might have got it.
Penalty-free slap a year.
There's another person who might have got it, but they're tied in first, I think.
Who's the other one? Now you got to say it.
Well, the other one is the lady at the airport when we're standing in line to go into the family bathroom, and this lady in front of us, because, it's a lot easier for a handicapped person to go in a family bathroom, and the lady in front of us looks at Russ and says, "Do you have to go to the bathroom? There's the men's room right there." And we're like, no, we need to go in the family bathroom, but you're in line by yourself. She goes into the family bathroom, and then she comes out, and she only went in there to smoke a cigarette.
Fucking crackhead.
I was pissed.
You know what? I feel like justice is served, though, because she had a mustache. So, the Lord knew you were a piece of shit.
She literally stood in line and told Russ to go to the men's room. Like, the audacity. It was crazy. So, my slap will go to either one of them.
I wasn't in the elevator with Jess because I still would have lost my cool.
Yeah, he wasn't in there. I was just shocked that someone would actually come in and do that. I was like, wow, there's 6 elevators and you chose mine. This is crazy. So your campaign would consist of slap day, one slap a year. You would do a felony for animal abuse, like worse felony than it already is.
Yeah, you're going to go to jail if you do something to people.
Oh, okay. So you would count animals as people.
Pretty much, but...
You're staring at Lucy as you talk.
She ain't people, but...
Yeah.
Well, if you get a dog, you got to take care of it.
100%. All right, well, we'll find out the results. We'll see if Russ gets any votes.
We will not see, Jess. What is wrong with you?
No, I'm kidding. It would be funny, though. Well, last week, we watched the new Netflix movie, Woman of the Hour. It is Anna Kendrick's directorial debut, and I thought it was so good. The one about the dating game killer.
Oh, yeah, him. He was a sleazer.
Yeah, he was a sleazer. The movie centers around Cheryl. She was the female contestant on the dating game, and she chose serial killer Rodney Alcala as her eligible bachelor. She obviously had no idea that he was a serial killer at the time.
Super serial.
Now, we covered Rodney Alcala way back in June of 2023. It was actually the episode that we recorded just 3 days before your accident. I went back and re-listened to the episode because, honestly, I forgot all the details of the case. And it is even more horrific and disgusting than I remembered. I feel like Anna Kendrick did a phenomenal job in this movie showing how scary Rodney Alcala was, like especially in the opening scene. You see how scary he is and like how he flips in a second to being super creepy.
This movie was more from like the victim's perspective, though.
Yeah, and I appreciated that. She also does a fantastic job showing the moment a man switches from charming to creepy and how a woman doesn't know what to do in that moment. I think many women can identify with this movie, and I highly suggest it. But I'm always fascinated with the deviation from the norm. I simultaneously don't understand, but am fascinated with people who see serial killers like Rodney Alcala as attractive and not the disgusting creeps that they actually are.
They write them letters and shit in jail, too.
The lustful fascination with serial killers is a multifaceted phenomenon, but it typically centers around women finding these men attractive to the point of sometimes becoming obsessive. This attraction can seem insane to most of us, and honestly, I believe it's weird AF, especially considering the heinous crimes that these individuals commit. But historical, psychological, and cultural factors contribute to this weirdly complex dynamic. Serial killers like Ted Bundy, Rodney Alcala, Richard Ramirez, and even the family annihilator, Chris Watts, have groupies. There is a psychological term for this, and it's called hybristophilia.
It's called little turd sandwiches.
Well, the obsession with them is called hybristophilia.
Well, it's called loserism with a side of insecurities.
Definitely. So hybristophilia is one of the many paraphilias. There are a number of them, but essentially paraphilias are a sexual attraction toward abnormal situations or objects. So podophilia is someone who has a foot fetish. Pedophilia is an attraction to children. And hybristophilia is a sexual attraction to someone who commits heinous, violent crimes.
Wonder why they had to give it these names.
Well, because there is, like, psychologists want to name something that is abnormal so that it can have a title. Like, it is very abnormal to be attracted to a serial killer or someone who commits a heinous, disgusting crime.
We over-title stuff. Everything doesn't need a label. All of them just fall into pieces of shit.
Okay. Recently, there was a criminal put on trial in Florida whose crimes against women were absolutely disgusting. But he gained a cult following of thousands of women all over the world who are not only lusting after him, but also made it their mission to raise money for him to fight for his freedom. His name is Wade Stephen Wilson, a.k.a. level 11 scumbag piece of shit.
It could only go to 10.
I'm going to show you a picture of him, okay?
Okay.
Let me see your phone. And I want to get your first reaction of what you think when you see his picture. What is your first reaction of him?
A loser cornball. He was also broke because he got bad tattoos, not good tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely looks like he could be from New York, though.
You think he could be from New York?
The haircut. I've seen a lot of people with that haircut in New York.
Oh. Definitely not from New York.
Well, that's good because we didn't want to claim that piece of shit anyway.
No, you don't want to claim him.
Maybe Florida then.
Definitely from Florida. Good job. I think he looks like Jared Leto's Joker from Wish.
Yeah, I think he looks like he just wants to get punched.
Yeah.
Like he got those tattoos to try to intimidate people, but tattoos on the face don't intimidate me or most other people that are secure in themselves. They're like, look at this fucking clown.
He's a clown for sure. And he has a cult following of women, but we're going to get into all of that.
Then you know what? Just put them in jail too.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Wade Wilson has the same name as the Marvel character Deadpool. You and I both really can't stand the Deadpool character.
Oh, he just lays it on so thick. Like,
yeah,
the sarcasm just doesn't stop, and it's over the top, and
it's annoying. I actually hate watching Deadpool. It's cringy to me.
Yeah, I can't watch it. I tried. I thought it might be all right, but it wasn't.
Well, I can assure you that this Wade Wilson is even more hateable, and he is an actual monster. Wade Stephen Wilson was born May 20th, 1994. His parents were only 14 and 15 at the time of his birth, so his biological mom put him up for adoption. Wade was adopted by a very nice couple named Steve and Candace Wilson, who lived in Tallahassee, Florida. His adopted parents describe Wade as a totally normal child, but they say when he hit puberty, something changed. He suddenly became pretty bad, dabbling in drugs and alcohol as young as 12 years old. He also started to become really paranoid. He told his parents at the age of 11 that he thought he was going crazy. Throughout high school, classmates described him as a bad kid. He hung out with a group of troublemakers, and he did a lot of drugs. At one point, when Wade was 13, his parents decided to try and get him like mental health help.
Yeah.
But Wade didn't want to have anything to do with therapists. He was acting really strange and paranoid. He had a lot of behavioral issues.
Was he schizophrenic?
We'll get there soon. At this point, when you're 13, like he's having these, behavioral issues. He's paranoid. He's acting kind of strange.
I wonder if he was getting disciplined or if he was part of he was getting like gentle parented doing whatever he wants because that creates monsters.
No, I think his parents tried. I mean, from all accounts that I've read, there aren't a lot of interviews with his adopted parents. They kind of refused a decent amount of interviews, but they really tried to help him with his behavioral issues. And I think the fact that he came to them at such a young age and said, I think I'm going crazy, like that's a little different than just being bad all the time. Like you clearly have something going on in your head. So I think they really tried to get him help and nothing seemed to work.
I wonder what he meant at 11 years old, like, I think I'm going crazy.
I don't know.
What could that be? Like, what do you feel like at 11?
Yeah, at 11, it's tough. I know. So he refused to go to a therapist, and his behavioral issues and paranoia got worse over the next couple of years. When Wade was 16, his parents decided to have him Baker Acted. So the Baker Act is a law in Florida that allows for families to place loved ones who are having a mental health crisis on a 72-hour hold. And it's like a time for a health assessment to occur and doctors to come up with a treatment plan. According to ufhealth.org, the act was named after Maxine Baker, who's a former Miami state representative who sponsored the act in 1972. People who require the use of the Baker Act have often lost the power of self-control. They are likely to inflict harm on themselves or others, and it's important that the Baker Act is only to be used in situations where a person has a mental illness and meets all the criteria for a voluntary or involuntary admission. It does not substitute for any other law that may permit the provision of medical or substance abuse care to persons who lack the capacity to request such care. So pretty much you have to meet a certain set of criteria to be Baker Acted. And at 16, his parents felt like he was going to harm himself or others, and they have lost control of him. And so they had him put on a 72-hour hold.
I think that putting someone on a 72-hour hold that's going to hurt themselves or hurt someone else is only going to enrage them more. It's not going to help.
You don't necessarily get out in 72 hours. So they have the 72-hour hold to come up with a treatment plan. Then a lot of people get transferred to a long-term facility. So like in my old psych ER, we would have 72-hour holds for people. And during that time, they're getting them placed in a facility. After the 72 hours, especially if it's voluntary, they're able to leave. But a voluntary hold means that they volunteer to be there.
That's different because if somebody else puts you in, that's like prison, and now you're more enraged. You're angrier than ever.
A lot of people don't get as angry, though, honestly.
When someone else puts you in forcefully?
Well, a lot of people are happy for the help because a lot of times they're psychotic or they get medicated and then they are able to they're able to get the treatment they need. It's not like prison where you're just thrown into a cell. Like you're actually getting medicated, you're getting resources, you're getting help. So most people, by the time the 72 hours is up, they're on medication, they're getting they're getting transferred to a long-term facility, they're getting the help they need. And a lot of them, sometimes they end up, leaving, but a lot of them end up going to a long-term care facility.
Well, what happened to him?
So he got Baker Acted and he ended up getting multiple diagnoses. So throughout this assessment, it was determined that aside from multiple underlying mental health diagnoses such as bipolar and schizoaffective disorder, which schizoaffective disorder is kind of like the precursor to schizophrenia. Wade also suffered multiple concussions from 2 car accidents and being jumped by a group of guys. He also was doing a lot of drugs at this time. So all 3 of these factors are a recipe for abnormal and dangerous behavior. So after graduating in 2012, Wade's criminal behavior started escalating. He was arrested multiple times for theft. Then in 2015, he was arrested and charged with sexual battery and kidnapping when a woman told police he raped her in his SUV after the 2 of them met at a party. He and the woman went out to the car to smoke some weed together, and then suddenly he jumped on top of her and began strangling her until she lost consciousness. She woke up with Wade holding her down, and then he proceeded to rape her.
How old was he when he did this one?
This is 2012, so he was born in 1994. So what's that? He was
18, maybe?
2012. I can't do math. Can you math? Oh, I'm sorry. This is 2015. This is 2015. I'm wrong. So he's 21 at this time.
All right, so he was adulting.
Yeah, he was an adult. So Wade Wilson pled not guilty, and a 6-person jury acquitted him of the crime.
Whoa.
He walked free.
But then maybe he didn't do it.
No, he definitely did it. It's just they probably didn't have enough evidence. Maybe the girl didn't go get a rape kit performed. There were no witnesses. There wasn't enough evidence to prove that he did it. So he walked free.
Wow.
In 2018, he started dating a woman named Kelly. According to Kelly, Wade was incredibly good looking, had a lot of tattoos, not the ones on his face. The ones on his face weren't there yet. He just was like all tatted up. He had sleeves. He had like a couple neck tattoos.
The ones on the face look like they could possibly be prison ones. You know, they kind of look like that.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. He was charismatic and funny, and she quickly fell head over heels for him. The first few months went great, and she said the beginning, there were no red flags at all. After several months of dating, the two of them moved in together, and his true colors started to show. He was arrested in late 2018 for grand theft. He was released from jail and started doing drugs again. Kelly didn't know he was doing drugs. She honestly didn't know a lot about drugs because she never did drugs. She had tried weed like once and got really paranoid and never touched it again. The only thing she did was drink socially, so she didn't really know anything about drugs at all. She noticed a huge change in him and his personality. And one day, she was really suspicious and she decided to go through his stuff. And she found a crack pipe in his dresser drawer. She didn't know what it was at first because she'd never done drugs, but she posted a picture of it on Reddit, and she asked Reddit what it was.
That's crazy. I never met anyone that offered me crack. I don't even know how that happens.
I think you start doing other drugs like coke, and then you escalate to crack.
Like, hey, want to smoke crack? Like, what?
Yeah, right?
I would probably laugh because I would think they're kidding.
Well, back in the day, like smoking crack, you're a loser. Like you're a total loser.
Still.
You're still a loser now, but I feel like now doing drugs like has become cool in some way.
Well, a lot of like the rappers like glamorize it.
Yeah. Back in our day, the rappers just sold drugs. They didn't actually do them.
Yeah, they were at least trying to make money. It's, so.
Yeah, they were just trying to make money. They weren't doing the drugs. Now I feel like a lot of songs and stuff, people like glamorize doing drugs to kids nowadays, which is weird. So she posted this picture on Reddit, asking Reddit, because she didn't want to ask anybody she knows, obviously, because like she knew it was some type of paraphernalia.
I feel like people on Reddit would be like, that's a crack pipe. Like,
they did. They were like,
what?
It's a DIY crack pipe. Like he made it himself, probably out of a pen or something. I don't know.
I've seen them. They were like glass cylinders, and they put like how do you say like screens in them and stuff. And
yeah, exactly.
I've seen them.
Well, when Wade found out that Kelly found the pipe, he went nuts. She hid in the bedroom, and he busted down the door and beat the shit out of her.
See, crackheads ain't like they used to be, man. They used to just sell stuff. They wasn't doing all that.
Well, he stole her gun. She owned a gun. He stole her gun, and he ran off to Texas for a few weeks. She reported this to police, but the police really didn't pursue it. Over the course of several months, the two of them had a very tumultuous relationship. They broke up and made up many times. The relationship became increasingly more violent and volatile. Wade promising to get clean, getting clean for a little while, and then getting back into drugs.
I've seen that song and dance a lot.
The last straw was when the two were broken up, but ended up getting into a fight about his drug use. Wade then kidnapped Kelly, threw her in the trunk of her own car, and then drove 3.5 hours south to the Florida Keys. He had her tied up in the trunk the entire time.
Wow.
He would stop a few times during the drive to beat and rape her. They get to the Keys at 4 a.m. Wade lets Kelly out of the trunk, and he tells her she can have her car keys back and lets her go.
What? He has some balls to not think anybody will tell the cops or anything.
I know. Well, he then goes and meets up with another woman that he met online. Kelly is scared to death and traumatized, so she goes back up to Palm Beach County and immediately goes to the hospital to have a SANE exam done, a sexual assault nurse examiner exam. They took pictures of the bruises and other injuries, and they performed a rape kit. Kelly tried to press charges, but the exam evidence was lost. The rape kit, the photos, all the evidence went missing.
Wow.
How crazy. I mean, unfortunately, this happens all the time. There is a chain of custody that has to happen between the examiner. We pass it off because, I'm an examiner. So we pass it off to security. SVU is usually there. Security has to sign a document. Then they have to pass it off to SVU. And it's a chain of custody that happens. But sometimes that chain of custody gets broken and evidence gets lost.
I would think the more people involved in something gives it a higher chance to get lost. It's kind of like the telephone game. The more you tell someone in the ear something or whatever, it's going to change.
Yeah. Well,
so the less hands involved, the better.
That is true. I mean, I don't understand the incompetence, honestly. Like, you have someone's evidence of a rape in your hands. Like, you would think that you would care for it and be very serious about it and protect it at all costs, but I don't understand the thought process behind it getting lost. But this happens all the time. I mean, in New York alone, there were 400,000 lost rape kits. 400,000 over the course of 5 years.
Well, it sounds like they were just throwing them away then.
Yeah, there's really just no care about it, and it's disgusting. But I will get off my soapbox. So, anyway, they lost her evidence, which had all the photos of her injuries. It had her rape kit. It had the DNA, all of it, completely lost. So she tried to press charges. There was no evidence and there were no witnesses. Police questioned Wade about this. And you know what he told cops? He said he did tie Kelly up in the back of her car, but it's because they're in a BDSM relationship. And she, quote, is really into that kind of thing. So Kelly and Wade officially, obviously, broke up. That was it. She was done. And over the next year, Wade dates several women who claimed he was incredibly violent. Then, in October of 2019, he starts dating a woman named Melissa. On October 6th, Wade and Melissa went out to this live music venue called Buddha Live. And while they're there, they meet this guy named Jason. And Wade and Jason are kind of talking throughout the night, and they seem to hit it off. It's probably drug related, honestly. Because why are you going to just meet a dude and become friends with him?
Yeah, I always wonder how people make friends because I don't even know how I have any friends.
I don't either.
How did I meet any of these people? Well, I know. I played sports.
True.
If it wasn't for sports, I probably wouldn't talk to anyone.
Yeah, so Jason and Wade hit it off and they talk throughout the night. And then Jason invites Melissa and Wade back to his house after the show. And Melissa's like, nah, I'm good. We don't even know this guy. Why are we going back to his house? No, I want to go home. But Wade didn't like that. So what does he do? He leaves Melissa at the club and steals her car and goes to Jason's house anyway.
He's trying to find a boyfriend.
He was just dating this girl a few weeks. They've only been dating for a very short time.
Now he's trying to date the dude.
While Wade was at Jason's house, he meets two women that are friends with Jason named Christine Melton and Stephanie Johnson. Christine and Wade had actually known each other for some time. They were kind of acquaintances. Okay. So Jason knows her, but then Wade sees her and is like, oh, I know you too. It's a small world. So Christine and Wade, they were acquaintances. They've known each other for some time. They kind of flirted when they hung out. They have this mutual attraction for each other. And after a little while, Stephanie, Christine, and Wade decide to leave Jason's house and go to Christine's house. Okay. When they get to Christine's house, Stephanie is like, I got to go home. It's 4 a.m. I got to go.
Yeah.
So Wade and Christine go into Christine's house. After Stephanie leaves, Wade grabs Christine, ties her up with her own clothes, and then strangles her to death.
Wow. Is this his first killing?
This is as what we know of, his first kill. I mean, he's abused multiple women, but he's never strangled someone to death.
I feel like if you're getting away with something, then things normally seem to progress a little.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no consequences.
Yeah.
Maybe he thinks he just can't get caught. But this is in the time where, there is surveillance cameras and all that around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this is literally 2019. So this is a couple years ago.
Shit.
Yeah. So he strangles her to death, and Wade quickly leaves Christine's house in Christine's car. So he takes the girl who he just murdered, he takes her car, and he leaves her house. And he calls Melissa. The two of them start fighting over the phone because she's pissed. He stole her car hours before. And now it's the morning, and Melissa has to get to work. So she and him are fighting on the phone. And then she ends up going to work, and Wade shows up at her job at 8:30 in the morning. He meets her outside of her job, and he beats the crap out of her.
Wow.
Like right in front of her job. She starts to bleed because he punched her in the face numerous times. She starts to bleed, and I think when the blood got on him, he kind of for a second hesitated. So she ducked under his arm and ran away, ran into her job, locked the doors, and then locked herself in there so he couldn't come in.
I'm assuming she called the police too.
Oh yeah, she called the police. So at around 9:30 a.m., he leaves and he's driving around Cape Coral, and he sees a woman walking down the street. Her name is Diane Ruiz. She's just walking to work, minding her own business, okay? Wade pulls over and pretends to need directions. He talks to Diane for a few minutes and then proceeds to grab her and gets her into the car. He strangles her in the car.
Well, guess who is a guy that will never give directions to anyone? This guy. Because everyone has a phone. Don't
True.
talk to me unless the only time I give directions, I definitely don't go close to a car. Like, hey, do you know where this is? Unless I could point at it, like, oh, it's right there.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, I don't know. And I just keep it moving.
It's hard. It's sad that he's attractive because he doesn't look like a scumbag. Like when you look at him without the face tattoos, which is what he would look like right now in this part of the story, he doesn't have face tattoos. He's young and attractive. He doesn't have all these creepy face tattoos. And he pulls over in a car. It was like a nicer car because it wasn't his. It was Christine's car.
And he's a bum.
Unfortunately for these women, because he's attractive, I think they're a little more open to talking to him because he doesn't look like a weirdo. He looks like a nice guy from the outside. And it's a shame. So he asks her for directions. He's probably pretty charming. A lot of people say that he's a very charming guy. So he's smiling at her, asking her for directions. Hey, I'm so lost. Can you help me out? Da, 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 da. And then he ends up grabbing her, pulls her in the car, and strangles her. And she's just like a lady in her early 40s walking to work. Also, she's in her early 40s. He's in his early 20s. It's not like she's probably feeling like she's just helping him out. Like he's a kid.
Well, nowadays, people in their 40s look better than people in their 20s.
True.
The older generations are holding it together much better than the past. Because in the past, when I was a little kid at 40, people were washed.
Yeah, it's true. So he grabs her, gets her in the car, and he strangles her to death. He drives to an empty parking lot with the intention of getting rid of her body. When he throws her body out of the car, he realizes that she's still breathing. Although she's not conscious, he knows she's still alive. So he proceeds to run her over with the car multiple times, back and forth, back and forth.
That seems like he's doing it for fun because there are much easier ways to kill someone.
Yeah, he is enjoying it.
Yeah, that's like some evil
sick
shit. I mean, all of it's evil, but now you're it seems like you're enjoying it.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Melissa calls police after he attacked her. So cops are out looking for Wade at this point. They find him shirtless in a Joe's Crab Shack parking lot. He sees the cops coming towards him, so he jumps in the car and speeds off. And these cops don't even go after him. They just let him go.
That stuff is confusing to me. Like, that's your only job.
Yeah, why are you not running after him? It's so crazy.
And now obviously more people are going to die.
It's so much incompetence. Wade decides to break into a house. No one was home, thank God. But he broke into this random house. He ate some of their food. He drank several White Claws, and he changed his clothes in this house. The people were out of town at the time. Then, from the home, he called his biological father, who he had recently begun talking to again. He tells his father, Stephen, I need help with something I can't take back. And his father's like, what are you talking about? He said, 2 people are gone. I'm a killer. And he described to his father what happened in detail. And according to his father, he sounded like he was gloating about it.
Wow.
He had no remorse whatsoever. So Wade told his father that he needed an Uber to get out of town. And Stephen said, all right, I'll help you. Can you give me the address where you're at and I'll send an Uber for you? Well, he didn't send an Uber. He called the cops and told the U.S. Marshals where his son was. Because he could tell that he was not remorseful.
And he knew he was crazy from 11 years old.
No, this is his biological father.
Yeah.
He didn't know him.
I wonder if the biological father's like has mental issues and they were passed down, or this dude got it probably from doing all the drugs.
Yeah, so his biological father, it doesn't seem like he has any mental health problems. He was at the trial and he was a witness and interviewed, and he seems pretty regular.
It's crazy that he would call his biological father because, you know, your biological father don't really want you anyway. He gave you up.
Yeah, like there's not a real sense of loyalty there. And I mean, they had just recently started talking like a few months before this. So,
wow.
The same day, police went to Christine's house and discovered her body. Initially, police didn't connect Diane, the lady who was walking to work, to Wade. She was reported missing after not showing up to work that day. But it wasn't until a few days later that police discovered her body in the empty parking lot after they noticed a vulture circling the area. That's what alerted them that something was there, which is crazy. Wade was charged in November of 2019 with premeditated murder of both women. He did multiple interviews, and he was changing his story constantly with cops. In 2020, Wade and his cellmate planned an escape from prison. The COs were tipped off about the plan, and they found the window in their cell had been tampered with. So he was charged with attempted escape and criminal mischief. So while in prison, Wade joined the Unforgiven, a white supremacy gang. Okay.
There's an Unforgiven motorcycle group in my neighborhood.
In the Bronx. I know. It's crazy. Well, this Unforgiven is a white supremacy gang that is in prisons, and a lot of them are based in Florida. Their symbol is a cross with a swastika and the SS symbol in the center. So, complete shitheads.
Yeah, just like Hitler shit.
Yeah. While in prison, in the gang, is when Wade got all of his face tattoos. Like you said, they look like shitty prison tattoos.
Yeah.
100%, that's what they are. And most of his tattoos are incredibly racist. And he just looks like such a corn because, like, on the left side of his face, it says, why so serious? Ha, ha, ha.
Yeah, then you got, like, the stupid, like, half Joker smile tattoo. And and it doesn't even look like well-done artistry. It's just, like, a line with a couple more lines through it.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
He's a clown. He looks like a clown that tried to be a clown and failed at being a clown.
Yeah, he's the worst.
So we're going to call this guy Bozo the Clown.
Bozo the Clown, 100%. So his trial started this past June of 2024. He was charged with first-degree murder of both women, burglary, and theft. The entire trial, Wade was sitting, looking incredibly smug. He smiles and smirks while the witnesses are talking, okay? He sits with his legs spread open, his hand resting on his junk. His pants are really tight. Like, you can see his bulge. His pants are so tight. And you can see how highly he thinks of himself. Like, when you look at clips from the trial, you can tell he, like, thinks so much of himself. And it's disgusting. The jury deliberated for only 2 hours before finding him guilty on all charges.
I wonder why it took that long.
I don't know.
I would have went in there and be like, he's guilty. Let's go back out there. Everybody like, all right, cool. We back. Unless maybe they give you lunch while you're deliberating. So like, let's just take our time so we get some lunch.
Maybe they wanted free lunch.
Yeah.
But this footage of him in a jacket, tie, tight pants, tattoos, with a smug look, sitting with his legs spread open, is the clip that would circulate online, go viral, and cause all the weirdo loser women to come out of the woodwork. They started posting clips with music in the background and captions describing how hot he is. Women all over commented on the videos with things like, quote, damn, he's fine. Quote, I don't condone his actions, but damn, he's so freaking hot. End quote. Then he had multiple fan pages for him on TikTok and Instagram.
Barf.
Where people take clips of him and edit them to music so that women can lust all over him. Wade started receiving tons of fan mail in jail, lots of pictures, and even panties from women.
I don't want no one's panties.
Well, these women thought that it was a great idea. So I'm going to show you some of the clips of the videos that they posted about him, okay? So tons of videos.
He was Diesel.
He was Diesel, yeah. But tons of videos that these women make of like clips of him, and they put this music in the background so that they can lust over him.
Do these dumb women know that he would just kill them anyway?
I don't think that they care. I think that they find
care.
I think they find it attractive. And I'm going to go into like why I think that.
They would care if he would kill them.
No,
they just think that like, oh, he wouldn't do that to me. Because a lot of women think they could change a man.
I think they could change him, but they also have this boundary because he's sentenced. Well, I'll tell you now. He was sentenced to death. Okay.
That's good.
And so he's on death row. So these women have no chance of ever actually interacting with him in a real way. So they can play out this fantasy in their head where they're not actually going to be in danger. He can't do anything to them, but they can play out this fantasy.
Well, sometimes people get married in jail, but I guess they probably don't let death row people do it. But I wouldn't know.
No, they do.
Oh, they let death row people get married?
Yeah. Ted Bundy got a girl pregnant while in jail.
Wow.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have let him have sex.
They did.
Unless it was with someone he didn't want to have sex with against his will in a nasty way, like taking his butt.
Well, Wade was sentenced to death, and prior to the sentencing hearing, the judge received hundreds of letters from all over the world from women begging to let Wade live. They made a GoFundMe, literally, that raised $70,000 for Wade.
Who kept that money?
I don't know. They have merch that says Save Wade on it. They wear t-shirts. The women are actual idiots because whenever you send letters to judges or criminals, it actually is public record. So every woman who has attempted to interact with Wade or his legal team or the judge, they know their full names, their addresses, and it's easy to find out like more information about them, where they work, if they have families.
Fellas. Everyone look up and look. We're all going to look up our wives' name. We didn't know this could be public record. Let's expose them. That's it.
Okay. Yes.
Let's find out if your wife or your girl's really good.
If your wife or girl is writing to a serial killer, you have way more problems than her just being unfaithful.
Well,
you're with a crazy bitch.
You got to dump her. I mean, all of you are crazy. It just depends on the level.
So at the core of this attraction lies the archetype of the bad boy. Historically, women have often been drawn to men who embody danger and rebellion and excitement. For example, Ted Bundy, one of America's most notorious serial killers, managed to charm many women. Despite his violent past against women, he literally killed like 30 women.
That's not the one that ate dudes?
No, that's Jeffrey Dahmer. Bundy's intelligence and charisma became a focal point in the media narratives, right? Making him an object of fascination. So the media plays a part too. Many women corresponded with Bundy during the time he was in prison. Some even told him they wanted to marry him. their attraction was not solely based on his actions, but also on his persona and the mysteriousness surrounding him. But there are a lot of theories as to why some women become obsessed with criminals. From an evolutionary standpoint, some psychologists suggest that women may be drawn to dominant and powerful males and traits that historically indicate that a man is able to protect them. It's like from an evolutionary standpoint. It's inside of us as women to be attracted to dominant males.
Like me, you saw all these muscles and you were like, I need that.
While this instinct may not directly correlate with the attraction of serial killers, some experts believe that it contributes to women being attracted to men who exhibit assertiveness, confidence, and very risky behavior. This evolutionary lens can help explain why some women might find themselves intrigued by the dark allure of killers. These men often project an image of power and control and qualities that can be superficially attractive.
Yeah, because he also was unemployed and broke and needed to
a drug addict.
Take other people's cars and smoke crack.
Exactly. He's a loser.
That seems very weak to me.
Definitely weak. I mean, he's a loser, and he preyed on women. It's not like he was fighting other dudes.
Yeah.
He was fighting women and raping women. He was a predator. So, these types of like powerful images is something that evolutionarily they think women are attracted to. But beyond the evolutionary theories, some psychologists suggest that many women report feelings of empathy towards serial killers, viewing them as complex individuals shaped by traumatic experiences or mental illness. This perspective can lead to a sense of connection or even a desire to save or fix the killer, which can be compelling for people, and it can motivate a sense of like infatuation towards them. The media plays a big role in shaping public perception of serial killers. Documentaries, books, podcasts, just like us,
Yeah, but I don't glamorize them. I hate when people ask me, what's your favorite serial killer?
Like, no,
like
I'm not.
What? I've had people ask me that. I'm like, what?
No, I'm definitely not saying we glamorize them. I'm saying podcasts like us who delve into the psychological complexities of these people. Because it is fascinating. Like, why are people able to be so calloused and cold? So we dive into the psychological complexities of these individuals. And sometimes it can create a narrative that causes people to feel sorry for them, sorry for their upbringing. They can feel horror, but also intrigue at the same time. It mucks the water a little bit.
Well, there's no excuse for being a piece of shit ever. So
there
I
isn't.
don't care what people think. In that way, like everyone wants to give an excuse. Oh, his childhood was hard. Oh, this, oh, this. Let him burn.
This portrayal can lead to a phenomenon known as hybristophilia, which I talked about in the beginning, where some women or individuals are attracted to people who commit violent crimes. The attraction that some women feel towards serial killers is a complex weave of historical bad boy archetypes, evolutionary instincts, psychological factors, and media influence. While the idea of falling in love with a killer might seem completely unfathomable to most of us, the underlying reasons actually show so much about human nature's darkest curiosities. Like I said in the beginning, I will never understand it. But trying to see why these women act this way fascinates me. In the end of the day, however, I don't want to take away from the fact that I think these women are complete idiots. Like, I think they're total idiots. I think that the comments they make and the videos they post and the money that they're contributing and the letters that they write are incredibly disrespectful to the victims' families.
True, these people are pathetic.
Yes, they're 100% pathetic, they're disrespectful, and it's gross. Sometimes I am fascinated by, like, trying to understand it. I'm not condoning it, I'm just trying to understand it.
I don't need to understand. I just understand that you ain't shit. Not you, but you know what I mean.
These women ain't shit.
Yeah, dude.
They're very insecure. I mean, you have to be really insecure, I think, to even go down that road.
You gotta be desperate and not being able to get no man out here with your whack ass.
Even his own defense team. It's so funny. I was watching interviews with his own defense team, and even they were like flabbergasted at the amount of women that are like lusting after him. And his own lawyer said, like, it's kind of crazy that these women have no other fish in the sea. Like, they have no other prospects that they would like devote all this time and energy into this man who has killed 2 women, raped multiple women, beat multiple women, treated women like garbage, and they're putting all this energy into him.
And then they would get a beating just like these other women and be like, why me?
Yeah, like, it's funny how his own defense team was astounded.
Yeah, he would just do this stuff to you too.
It's crazy. So that's the case with Wade Wilson, clown of the year, super clown.
Yeah, Bozo the clown.
Bozo the clown, Joker from Wish. He's gonna hopefully get executed. I mean, listen, I know people have feelings about death penalty. I feel like he's somebody who deserves a death penalty because he's so cocky. Like, when you watch footage of him during the trial, he's so cocky.
He would do it again, obviously, because there's no remorse.
No remorse whatsoever. And his face, he's like smirking. But he used to have nice teeth. Now his teeth are all messed up from the drugs, I think.
Yeah, he's probably doing drugs in jail too.
Probably. So yeah, Wade Wilson is gross, and that's it. And these women are, I don't get it. I'll never get it. All right, everybody, check us out on Instagram at Wife of Crime Pod and Facebook at Wife of Crime, the Crime Family. And what else? Patreon at Wife of Crime Pod.
Wifeofcrime.com got the merch.
And wifeofcrime.com. And we will check you later.
Yeah, and this is probably going to come out after the election is over. So thank God I don't have to hear anyone's stupid opinions no more.
Yes, thank God.
And
I'm over it too.
Go vote or don't. I don't care either way. Just don't tell me, please.
Russ doesn't care what you do. He just doesn't want to hear about it. And he doesn't want to see your posts talking about voting.
I don't give a shit.
He doesn't want to hear from me. He doesn't want to hear from anybody. He doesn't want to know anyone's opinions, including mine, when it comes to politics.
If I wanted to know, I would ask. And how many times have I asked?
Yes.
0.
All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
Peace.